Hey everyone, I wanted to take a little time today to talk about the top 10 episodes of The Office after Michael left. No secret that the last 2 seasons of The Office are considered inferior by the fandom, with many fans even declaring that they abandoned the series after Michael left. Or if they're avid rewatchers, then they just restart the series after Goodbye Michael. But for many fans of the series, it's clear that episodes contained in those last 2 are somewhat hit and miss. But today, let's take a look at the ones that hit just right. The top 10 episodes of The Office after Goodbye Michael.
Let's go! Oh, God! Okay, come on!
Alright, so let's start with a couple episodes which happened directly after the big guy himself got on that plane and flew out of our lives. One of my favorite episodes in the post-Michael Office is Dwight K. Schrute acting manager. After years and years of vying for this position, Dwight is finally handed an offer after Jim rejects Joe. Now we got a glimpse at what a Dwight-led office might look like way back in season 3. But now, several years of maturity has come under his belt.
Abandon all hope, ye who enter here.
And things aren't much better. Between Dwight's dictatorial decor, the shot her around the world, and the Michael-like character work that Dwight puts in to try to rectify the situation, it makes for a great episode of The Office. It's difficult to watch all of this man's dreams stripped away from him, but you know, it works out later.
Dwight Schrute is manager!
Next up is an episode that is actually kind of divisive in the fandom, and it's Search Committee. While The Office is now without a manager, Joe instills a committee headed up by Gabe, Toby, and Jim, as they progress through a rigorous day of interviews, including cameos from several well-known comedians and this guy, as well as just some of the regulars from around the office. The episode progresses with a lot of fun and intrigue, as the search committee is probably representative of the very real search that the showrunners had committed in order to find a replacement for Steve Carell. Why they settled with this guy to do the job, I'll never know. But the precious moments that we get with Creed as a new boss was prime Creed.
Great Bratton. Keep it running.
Moving on. No, that is the name of the episode. Breaking away from moving chronologically, let's take a look at the Moving On episode. Now, this is an episode squarely in the Philly arc of season 9, which is loathed by a majority of fans of the series. If you recall, this is the episode in which Dwight has Angela help him clean up his aunt, and Andy learns that Pete and Aaron are dating, and the Nard Dog goes full villain. None of that I love. But the deep plot in this one is a culmination of a long-running arc involving Toby's obsession with the Scranton Strangler case, something that he's now formed his entire public persona around. And the A-plot features Bob Odenkirk doing his take on what he'd have done with the character of Michael Scott if he'd have gotten the role all those years ago. So while there's a lot to not love about this one, Odenkirk and the Strangler make this episode deserve a spot on this list. Next stop, pies.
Next stop, pies! Next stop, pies!
That's right, number 7 on this list is another one from season 9, and it's Work Bus. This episode features a Jim and Dwight prank, which backfires on Jim, and then backfires on Dwight. It was written by a friend of the channel, Brent Forrester, and directed by Bryan Cranston, making that 2 Breaking Bad connections back to back. After convincing Dwight that the office building is unsafe, Dwight rents a bus for the staff to work from. Jim leads a charge to get some pies, and that's the bulk of the episode. I think what I've always appreciated about this one, there's just plenty of times for the characters to have fun in a very confined space. It could have been terrible, but a lot of joyous moments occur. Not to mention, Kevin has some great time to shine too.
My name is Kevin.
Yeah.
That is my name.
Yeah.
They call me Kevin.
Yeah.
Because that's my name.
While I always felt curving Nellie into this sympathetic character was a bit jarring and forced, this moment isn't without its merits.
She'll make a wonderful mother to any child who can overlook weird accents.
Now let's take a look at this one from early season 8 with Spooked.
Be prepared to be scared.
After bringing in a very surreal, dark Robert California into the ensemble of characters, it's safe to say that The Office became a few shades darker. While the main storyline revolves around Andy and Erin's relationship, Erin's misreading of several things that drives her to lean into Gabe to make the party much more adult in nature. Cinema of the Unsettling is fantastic, but I've always appreciated what Bobby's doing throughout this episode. As he talks to each employee, he begins to grasp what each of their deepest fears are. And as the episode ends, California tells this deeply confusing and spooky story which disturbs the whole group.
Embalmed bodies rose from their sarcophagi, for they were mummies.
No.
Also, Dwight's dressed up as Kerrigan from StarCraft, something that even 20-something-year-old Chris was still nerded out by at the time. From Season 8's Halloween episode, let's jump into Season 9's Dwight Christmas. On Jim's last regular day in the office prior to starting his new job in Philly, he swings the vote for the Christmas party styling towards Dwight's family traditions, which involves bell schnickels, odd traditions, and subtle racism.
Yes, that.
Things are going well until Jim decides that he needs to dip out a little early, causing the party to collapse in on itself. Yet when Jim returns to the branch, Christmas is back on. The sheer amount of joy in Dwight's face is maybe reason enough to love this episode.
The pig rib. We could totally break the pig rib. I'm gonna dig it out of the trash.
Back to Season 8 for a moment, let's take a look at Garden Party.
It's just a garden party. Sheesh.
Claiming that he was trying to impress his boss by throwing a company party, Andy, who at this point was the boss, was actually trying to find favor and approval from his parents, which is just very sad. They also just prefer his younger brother Josh Groban. While it's sad to see the lack of respect that Andy's parents give him,
I'm the regional manager.
Oh, that makes more sense. Are you all regional managers?
not sure it's deserved, but the office comes together and sticks it out with the Nard Dog. Moreover, the event is held on Shrewd Farm grounds, and James Trickington, penned Ultimate Guide to Throwing a Garden Party, makes for a fantastic string of pranks. Alright, so let's keep it in Season 9 for the rest of this list. Let's take a look at the lowest rated episode on IMDb that's going to appear in this video, and it's Paper Airplane. Stick with me here though. Paper Airplane sees the office holding a contest for the flying origami in order to win a cash prize, which Angela is in desperate need of. Meanwhile, Andy is off to work his first official acting gig, and this bit gets me every time. Meanwhile, the Philly arc is actually hitting a key fork in the road. After trying couples counseling to no avail, Jim and Pam are relatively heartless towards each other. The episode concludes with a very heartwarming wrap-up to the various plot lines, but Jim and Pam's sequence is simply one of my favorite moments in the entire series. I think it's rare to show something like what we see here. This hug is just super awkward. The dialogue is sparse, and it's just a touching and realistic moment with these two people just holding on to each other.
But the greatest of these is love.
Personally, I could do without the cuts to the wedding, but I think that was intended to show the reminder of the commitment that they made to each other all those years ago. So if nothing else, Paper Airplane deserves a spot on this list because it marks the end of the divisive arc. And that has to count for something, right? Next up is AARM, or Assistant Regional Manager.
Trademark pending.
In my opinion, this is the true finale of the series, but more on that in a minute. The episode sees the wrap up of several main plot lines. The animosity and difficulty of the season between Jim and Pam are really put to bed in one of the most fan-servicing moments throughout the series. Dwight realizes that Angela's son Philip is a shrew, causing him to propose on the spot out of obligation, but then later, out of love. Daryl makes his way back to Scranton after a brief stint in Philly, and the rest of the staff have a dance party to send him off in style. All of this is in the backdrop of a Jim as Dwight's number 2 or number 3, pranking the manager into choosing himself as his own number 2 guy.
You will be your own assistant.
Correct. I need someone I can trust.
There is a lot of fan service here. Some of it is kind of surreal, but it works in this universe that they've built over the last decade. It's a fantastic penultimate episode for the series. And then let's wrap this up with the finale. I'll be honest, I wasn't even going to include this on the list because it is one of the highest rated episodes of The Office. I'll be honest, season 8 is a little rough to get through, as well as all of this Jim, Pam, Philly arc nonsense in season 9. But the finale and the preceding 3 or 4 episodes are simply fantastic and are a light at the end of that Michael Scottless tunnel. And while AARM wraps up some of the lingering plot lines, the finale jumps a year into the future. The doc has aired, these guys are all local stars, and surely business is booming for Dunder Mifflin with all of that sweet free PBS exposure. This hour-long episode of The Office gives a panel discussion which provides some meta opportunities for the writers.
It's like seeing a documentary about how your food is made. It's kind of disgusting.
But also gives a sense of reflection back to the series.
It's like a long book that you never want to end, and you're fine with that.
Like Harry Potter.
Yeah, like Harry Potter.
Many of the characters have moved on. Andy's working at Cornell, Kevin owns a bar, Michael's a family man, and Daryl is killing it in Austin with Athlete. The remaining characters get treated with some fantastic plot advancements as well, and the episode concludes with the staff circled up, reminiscing old times. There's an aura of finality happening here. On screen, these characters are grasping to keep this day going, to hold on to the friendships that they'd formed over years of working day in and day out with each other. And as their night ends and the final credits begin to roll, the memories of the highlights and the dark times begin to wash over you, the viewer, which is why I think this series has found such success in streaming. When this aired, that was it. Game over. Sit in your feelings and deal with it. But on Netflix or Peacock now, just start back over with season 1 and see what you can catch this time. You don't have to say goodbye to the friends because they're always right there. Just a little bit against the thesis of that final episode, but it does make sense and I do enjoy it. But that's my list of the top 10 episodes of The Office after Michael left. What did I miss? Do you have a favorite episode that I didn't include in the list? Leave it in the comments. Just even leaving a comment definitely helps me out with the almighty algorithm, along with leaving a like. And hey, subscribe if you want more stuff like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.